You didn't wake up one morning and magically end up where you are. You built this life, brick by brick, choice by choice, and I know that sounds harsh, but let's be honest, nobody forced you to settle for less. Nobody chained you to the habits, excuses, and distractions you keep feeding every day. You say you want more, but your actions tell a different story. You don't have time, but somehow you've watched 3 seasons of a show this week. You don't have energy, but you spend it all scrolling through other people's lives. You say people don't support you, but have you even supported yourself? You want to win, but play the game like you're afraid of the ball. Here's the truth. Your life right now is the result of what you've tolerated, not what you've dreamed, and until you raise your standards, nothing changes. You chose this loser life, and that's actually good news because if you chose it, you can choose something better. But don't expect it to feel easy. Don't expect it to be comfortable. The moment you stop making excuses, you're going to feel exposed, scared, maybe even humiliated. Good. That means you're growing. You can decide right now to stop playing the victim in a story you're supposed to be writing. You can choose discipline over distraction, action over avoidance, courage over comfort, because here's the beautiful part: the life you want is on the other side of the life you've been settling for. But no one's crossing that bridge for you. Stop pretending, stop delaying, stop letting your fear dress up as logic. You chose this life, now choose a better one, and make it so good you'll never have to give a speech like this to yourself again. Your current life is built by your own choices, not by accident. Every habit you keep, every opportunity you've ignored, every person you've chosen to spend your time with, it has all been a vote for the life you're living right now. The job you have, the health you have, the relationships you have, they are not random. They are the result of the standards you've set and the limits you've accepted. Somewhere along the way, you decided what was good enough for you. And every time you decided to settle, you told the world, "This is all I'm willing to have." Maybe you didn't say it out loud, but your actions said it for you. You didn't fail to wake up early because you couldn't. You chose to stay in bed because it was easier. You didn't fail to take that chance because the opportunity wasn't there. You passed on it because it scared you. You didn't end up in this position because life hates you. You ended up here because you tolerated things that didn't serve you. The truth is, comfort is a trap that feels like safety. You thought you were protecting yourself from failure, but you were really protecting yourself from growth. And every time you told yourself, "I'll do it later," later became never. Every time you convinced yourself it's not the right time, you trained yourself to wait for perfect conditions that don't exist. You have been living a life that matches the level of risk you're willing to take. Low risk, low discomfort, low effort, and now you're looking at the results of that equation. This isn't punishment. It's mathematics. The quality of your choices is directly proportional to the quality of your life. You want more, but you keep feeding the habits that give you less. You dream big, but you work small. You talk about change, but you live in repetition. And here's the part that stings: you can't blame anyone else for that. Because the moment you give someone else the blame, you give them the power. And you've already given enough power away. You've given it to fear, to comfort, to other people's opinions, to your own excuses. You chose this path, step by step, maybe without realizing it, maybe while convincing yourself you were doing the best you could. But deep down, you knew you were capable of more, and you looked away. And the longer you look away, the harder it is to face the truth staring back at you. Excuses disguise comfort zones, claiming no time or energy while wasting both. You tell yourself you're too busy, you tell yourself you're too tired, but somehow you always have the time to do the things that keep you exactly where you are. Hours disappear into scrolling through other people's lives. Evenings vanish in front of a screen watching stories you'll forget tomorrow. You call it unwinding, but what you're really doing is numbing yourself, numbing the guilt that whispers you should be doing something better, numbing the discomfort that comes from knowing you've been standing still. It's easy to say you're exhausted when the truth is you're avoiding the hard work. It's easy to say you don't have time when deep down you know you're just afraid to start. Comfort zones are masters of disguise. They make laziness feel like rest. They make procrastination feel like self-care. They make avoidance look like protecting your peace, but comfort zones are not peaceful. They're quiet prisons. You don't see the bars because you built them yourself, and every excuse you make is another lock on the door. When you say, "I can't right now," what you mean is, "I won't." When you say, "I'm just too drained," what you mean is, "I've given my energy to the wrong things." It's not a lack of time, it's a lack of priorities. It's not a lack of energy, it's a lack of focus. We always make time for what matters to us. We always find energy for what excites us. So if you're not moving forward, maybe the problem isn't time or energy. Maybe the problem is that you've decided comfort matters more than progress. You say you're waiting for motivation, but motivation doesn't come to the comfortable. It comes to the ones who start before they feel ready. You say you'll take action when life slows down, but life never slows down. It just gives you a new set of distractions to hide behind. The truth is, excuses are clever stories we tell ourselves to protect the life we've settled for. They keep us from facing the discomfort of change. They keep us safe from failure and from success, because success demands effort. It demands you trade easy nights for challenging days. It demands you give up the short-term rush of comfort for the long-term reward of growth. And that's why most people stay where they are, not because they can't change, but because they're too busy defending the very habits holding them back. Self-support comes before external support. No one believes in you if you don't. You can't expect people to cheer for you when you haven't even stepped onto the field. You can't ask the world to see your potential if you're too busy doubting it yourself. Belief is contagious, but it has to start with you. When you walk into a room unsure of your worth, the world mirrors that uncertainty back to you. When you speak about your dreams with hesitation, people hear the hesitation louder than the dream. The truth is, no one is going to hand you confidence. No one is going to show up at your door and say, "I'll believe in you until you're ready." It doesn't work like that. You set the tone for how the world treats you. If you treat your goals like they're optional, so will everyone else. If you treat your time like it's worthless, others will waste it without guilt. If you treat yourself like a backup plan, you'll always be someone else's backup plan. Self-support is not about arrogance. It's about refusing to talk yourself out of the life you want. It's about showing up for your own plans with the same dedication you'd show up for someone else's. You've been there sacrificing your energy, time, and focus to help someone else succeed. You believed in them without question, but when it's your turn, you hesitate, you question your ability, you wait for someone else to tell you it's possible. That hesitation is the gap between the life you have and the life you want. The moment you close that gap, things change. The moment you treat your dreams as non-negotiable, you'll notice the world starts to take them seriously too, because people trust conviction. They trust consistency. They trust someone who clearly believes in what they're doing. Think about it. Would you invest in a business if the owner seemed unsure it would work? Would you follow a leader who looked lost? Neither would anyone else. Your belief in yourself is the foundation for every connection, every opportunity, and every breakthrough you're going to have. Without it, nothing sticks. Without it, every bit of external support fades away the moment things get hard. You have to be the first believer, the first investor, the first fan of your own mission. And yes, it's lonely at first. Yes, it feels strange to clap for yourself when no one else is clapping. But that's how it starts. You show up for yourself long enough, and eventually the right people will notice. Not because you begged for their support, but because you proved you didn't need it to begin. Your life reflects what you tolerate, not what you dream about. It's not the size of your vision that shapes your reality. It's the size of your standards. You can dream of abundance, but if you tolerate scarcity, scarcity will stay. You can dream of respect, but if you tolerate disrespect, disrespect will repeat. You can dream of success, but if you tolerate excuses, excuses will dominate. Dreams are cheap. They cost nothing to imagine. You can build them in your mind every day without lifting a finger. But what you allow, what you settle for, What you choose to live with, that's what builds your actual life. Every time you ignore a boundary, you're teaching people it's okay to cross it. Every time you stay in an environment that drains you, you're teaching yourself that your energy doesn't matter. Every time you keep silent about what you want, you're telling the world you're fine without it. Your standards are silent instructions to the universe, and the universe follows them with precision. You can't expect a life full of passion if you tolerate boredom. You can't expect deep, meaningful relationships if you tolerate half-hearted effort. You can't expect freedom if you tolerate chains. Tolerating less than you deserve isn't humility, it's self-betrayal, and it's a betrayal that happens quietly, one small compromise at a time. You don't even notice it at first. You tell yourself it's not that bad. You convince yourself it's temporary. You wait for the right moment to demand better, but that moment never comes, because the longer you tolerate something, the more normal it feels. And once it feels normal, it becomes invisible. That's why so many people wake up one day and wonder how their life became so small. It didn't happen overnight. It happened every time they swallowed their truth. Every time they lowered the bar to avoid conflict. Every time they chose comfort over courage. Your dreams will stay dreams until you decide that what you've been tolerating is no longer acceptable. And that decision isn't loud. It's not a dramatic speech or a grand announcement. It's quiet, it's private. It's the moment you look at the life you've built and say no more. Because when you stop tolerating what drains you, you make space for what fuels you. And the moment you raise your standards, the world has no choice but to meet them. The power of choice works both ways. You chose this life, so you can choose a better one. Every decision you've made has led you here. Every yes, every no, every moment you acted and every moment you stayed still. You are living inside the results of those choices right now. And while that might feel heavy, it's also the most freeing truth you'll ever hear. Because if your choices built this, then your choices can rebuild it. You're not trapped. You're not powerless. You're not waiting for luck, fate, or someone else to hand you the life you want. You have the same tool you've always had: the ability to decide. Decisions are the steering wheel of your life. They determine the direction you go, the speed you move, and the places you never reach. Some decisions take you closer to the person you want to be. Others pull you further away. And if you keep choosing what's easy, what's safe, what's familiar, you'll keep getting more of the same. Change starts the moment you make a different choice, the moment you say, I don't want this anymore, the moment you decide to trade comfort for growth. You don't need a perfect plan to start. You don't need every answer right now. You just need to choose differently than you did yesterday. If you chose to avoid hard conversations before, choose to speak up now. If you chose to stay quiet about your dreams, choose to share them with someone who matters. If you chose distraction over discipline, choose the work that moves you forward today. Your life is not built in one massive decision. It's built in the small ones you make every single day. And every day you get the chance to vote for the kind of future you want. When you understand that, excuses lose their power, blame loses its grip. Because the same energy you've been using to maintain this life can be used to create a better one. You've already proven you know how to build something even if it's not what you wanted. Now prove you can build something worth living in. The power of choice is not a gift for a lucky few. It's in your hands right now, and it will stay in your hands tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. The question is not whether you can choose. The question is whether you will. So choose to become the person you've been avoiding. Choose to create a life that excites you when you wake up in the morning. Choose to leave behind the habits, the fears, and the excuses that kept you small. One choice won't change everything overnight, but the right choice, made over and over again, will change everything in time. And when that day comes, you'll look back and realize you didn't just get lucky. You decided, and that decision was the moment your real life began.